Can you take CJC-1295 and BPC-157 together? Well, good news is this has actually been studied, and there's some compelling evidence that shows that when you take those together, you could actually have a nearly 2.5 times greater growth hormone release when utilizing these together versus apart. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to use them together, why it may be advantageous. I'll also show you the best time of day to take these and what not to do. So let's jump in. I'm Regan Archibald. I'm the founder of the Ageless Future Centers. And Ageless Future is a concept that I created that helps you put in an operating system to build this life where you're getting healthier every year. Most people's health is declining. I found that peptides like CJC-1295 and BPC-157 can be a big piece of that ageless future journey that all of us are on. So what is BPC-157? Well, it's the body protective complex. It was discovered in the 90s out of the University of Croatia. And what they were looking for is this panacea, something that every cell in the body needed. And they found that this peptide called BPC-157 was released from the stomach acids, the gastric secretions, and every cell in your body has receptors for it. And they uncovered that it helps activate what's called VEGF, these vascular endothelial growth factors. It helps activate more growth hormone, which we'll get into. And then it also has reparative properties. So they did one of the studies, they damaged the Achilles tendon of a rabbit, and they found that compared to the control group that just got injections of saline, these rabbits' Achilles tendons healed like 3 times faster. They also found with colitis and issues in the intestines that BPC-157 calmed down the inflammation. It sealed up the tight gap junction. So great for those of you who have any stomach issues, any distension. BPC is a great peptide. But when you stack it with CJC-1295, there's something magical that happens. Now, one of the studies that was conducted in 2019, this study is titled BPC-157 and Growth Hormone, a Synergistic Effect in Muscle Healing. So what was done is they wanted to evaluate, and they did this on rats, and they wanted to evaluate healing tissue in the muscle. They used BPC-157 alone, and then they used a growth hormone analog alone. And so a growth hormone analog, that would be something like CJC-1295, Ipamorelin. They didn't specify exactly what analog they were using. And what they measured was the growth hormone pulsatility. They also measured collagen formation. They measured capillary density. That would suggest, the VEGF activation. They looked at the muscle fiber regeneration in this study. And what they concluded is when they combined the growth hormone with the BPC-157, this growth hormone peptide analog, the growth hormone results were a 2.3 times increase in the availability versus using these therapies alone. So one thing that we've always done is we've said, well, if you are using a growth hormone releasing peptide, you want to stack it with BPC-157. Now, do you need to use BPC orally? Can it be as an injectable? CJC-1295 and Ipamorelin is always an injectable. It's just not stable enough to bypass the gastric secretions. And yes, CJC, there are side effects. You will get some flushing. And if you have a very sensitive immune system, you want to start with a very, very small dose. Make sure you're working with a medical team who runs your labs. They look at the right diagnostics and they determine if this is the right combination for you. BPC-157, if you're somebody who experiences like CIRS, like chronic inflammatory reactive syndrome, you got to start with a very small dose, and it may not be the right timing for you because you're turning on all these regenerative properties where sometimes you need to sweep out the pathogens first. But generally speaking, BPC-157 is incredibly safe. There's been no lethal dose that's ever been established, meaning they've given rodent models up to 40 times any realistic dose that a human would take, and there's no adverse events, no side effects, nothing. So these are very safe, and when you use them in combination, what you're going to get is a greater release of growth hormone. And what does that equate to for you? Well, the first thing you're going to see is better cellular turnover. So when you have adequate levels of growth hormone, your body goes into a reparative state. And yes, you'll start building muscle, your organs will get regenerated, your body will want to remove any kind of cells known as senescent cells or autophagy autophagy is another thing that it promotes very effectively when you have growth hormones. So you want to exercise when you're using these peptides together. You can't just expect to take CJC-1295 and then BPC-157 and suddenly get fit and jacked. Actually, you're using these as a conjunction with your exercise protocol. So lifting weights, high intensity interval trainings, VO2 max, these are all really important things. I love the ski erg. I don't know if you've used that one before, but I have this upright ski erg. And if you don't know what they are, it's kind of like a rowing machine, but you're standing up. And a lot of cross-country skiers utilize it because they're using their ski poles and they're really trying to gain speed that way. Well, my goal in the ski erg was I wanted to get 10,000 meters in under 39 minutes. And so I was using CJC-1295 with Ipamorelin, BPC-157. I added in Sloop 332. And over the course of 3 months, I was able to get my time down to 37 minutes and 44 seconds. I also did a fecal microbiota transplant, and I think that was the real game changer where it just accelerated my fitness progress. So what do you love doing? And what are the activities that you want to be doing 10 years from now? And how can you get there in the most effective way? Well, this is where BPC-157, hands down, may be one of your best bets. CJC-1295, you don't want to use it on a continual basis. You want to use it maybe 30 to 90 days at the most. You'll be taking cycles of 2 days off throughout the week. So you can do 3 days on, 1 day off, or you can do 5 days on, 2 days off. So I like taking the weekends off, then I don't have to think about it. In the morning, I just come and take CJC-1295, Ipamorelin, BPC, whatever other peptide stack I'm on. You can do the same, or you can do it before you go to bed at night. Like I mentioned, the side effect of CJC, that flushing, may be uncomfortable. And so this is where I like doing it in the morning in a fasted state. If you're doing it in the evening, make sure you wait at least 90 minutes after eating before you inject it, because if the presence of insulin is abundant in your blood, it will compete against growth hormone and you won't get the same benefits. So what can you expect? Well, the thing that you'll find is when you start using growth hormone releasing peptides, like CJC-1295, Ipamorelin, you stack it with the BPC-157, you're going to find that you'll recover faster. You won't have the propensity for these injuries. I've had patients with tendinitis and they said, man, once I started using this combination, I'm sleeping better, I recover faster, I'm more motivated to work out. And I don't have the nags. I don't have to worry about having tendinitis flare up because I'm pushing myself again. So it gives you that ability to just go hard in the gym. The other thing that you'll find is you're going to have this greater level of IGF-1 output. So this is where being in a fasted state, especially men, you're going to do a lot better if you restrict your eating window to about 10 hours a day when you're using any kind of growth hormone releasing peptide. You want to promote autophagy. You want to clear out those cells. And women, based on your thyroid and generally speaking, maybe a 12-hour window would be more ideal for you. Once again, work with somebody who's trained in functional medicine, they're trained in peptides, and they understand this uniqueness of your biology. But when you get this VEGF, or this vascular endothelial growth factor, you're going to see better circulation. So if you have cold hands and cold feet, you'll notice a big improvement there. Cartilage and tendon healing. You know, my son just got into ultra running, and so he did a 50K last weekend, and I did a 25K with him. I hadn't run, and the 25K ended up being about 19 miles because I missed one of the aid stations and got lost. Don't trust me in the woods. This was right by Mount Timpanogos, called Gasping Through the Aspens. But I haven't ran that far in 15 years, but I've been doing these peptides, and I said, let's see how resilient my body is. And literally, I had very little soreness, and the vertical was 4,000 feet. It was really impressive. My son, he's also using BPC-157. He's using CJC-1295, or we've had him on like MK677, and he's just turned into a great runner. So these are some of the great benefits, but make sure you're using these safely. Don't order these online. You want to make sure you go to agelessfuture.com, where you can find out the best team, the people who are world-class in peptides. We've got the best pharmacists that we work with. And so if you love this video and you want to go deeper, I have another video, I'll provide the link in the show notes for you, that talks to you about when the best time of day is to take CJC-1295 and Ipamorelin. Appreciate you being on the show. We'll talk to you soon.